This is Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZW LP Conroe and 106.1 KZCC LP Conroe and worldwide at irlonestar.com.
Yes, I forced Dick to play the Miko disco version of Star Wars for our bumper music, and he can't believe he's actually playing it. That's right. It's Mornings with Lone Star with Dick and Skippy. I'm Skippy.
I'm Dick.
One of the last remaining Miko fans in the universe. But he rocks. You gotta listen to this whole album. It's great.
You know how I know we're under the Star Wars Brigade?
How?
Or fanatics, is they're reporting a death of a person who was in Star Wars. And I was like, oh man, someone else died? That's crazy. It was the man whose arm got torn off in the first one, The New Hope. With the snot, like this, like, kind of the bat nose.
I'm watching on 12 Systems.
Yeah.
That guy.
And I was like, are they really reporting that this guy died? Like, it was...
Hey,
that's kind of strange. Do you agree?
Have you ever been to like a Star Trek convention?
No, I really want to go though.
Okay, did you see Galaxy Quest where Sam Rock? Yeah, that's R2 in the background.
Yeah, it's a little weird song. A little weird.
So the whole Sam Rockwell character, being the red shirt who's like a guest star in one episode that dies 3 minutes in, he actually in Star Trek conventions they get full. You know, if you were in an episode, you could be, alien or red shirt number 42, you still get to sell your photos and stuff. So yeah, so he had a fan base. Whoever got his the guy got his arm cut off in A New Hope, believe me, he has his fan base.
That's so bizarre.
Yep.
I mean, is that not bizarre, John?
Yeah. I mean, you wonder does he still have the arm?
Probably mounted over his mantle. Well, he doesn't anymore, obviously, but maybe up until the point he died, maybe he stole the prosthetic arm and has it over his mantle.
What did you do in your life? I challenged a Jedi and survived to talk about it.
Yeah, right. I only lost an arm.
Yeah, did he survive?
He just lost his arm. That's it.
Yeah, he's like
and it cauterized it immediately because it's a laser.
Because it's a laser sword.
Yeah.
He said, "My friend doesn't like you, and I don't like you either."
I don't like you either.
See, now I understand why they wrote it in the news.
Because there are nerds.
Because everybody knows his life.
Skippy and Job Jablonski. John, how are you, man? Good to have you back. If you remember, John is with Centurion Wealth Advisors. He was with us the other day, schooling Skippy on all things, basically how I can possibly avoid not having to work at Walmart till the day I die as my retirement plan. And he came back, and not only does he want to talk about the tax bill that just got passed, we want to hit him up about Bitcoins. Dick, I think you have some finances you want to hide from Holly, and he's going to teach you some great tax shelters.
Bitcoin's a good way to do that.
Well, it was one day, but didn't you lose 30% of that value?
The price is so volatile; it's unbelievable. And now there's competitors coming out too.
Well, yeah, we're also talking about a thing was nothing 10 years ago, less than 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So if it drops 30%, it's actually doing pretty good in my mind.
You got a point. But if say you had Apple stock and it dropped 30%, that would hurt.
But I think, even as 2 weeks ago, it was 17,000 a Bitcoin, and I haven't checked it in the last couple days.
Let's check it now.
Let's check it.
I know it's down to around 13, maybe.
So is this viewed as? Is this on like
the?
It
is now. It's 14.
14.
Is this on the international exchange, or is this publicly traded? Is it on NASDAQ?
I think
well, they're not. They can't be publicly traded because it's a digital currency. But there are actually now ETFs or exchange traded funds that are basically either invested in Bitcoin mining operations or Bitcoins themselves.
Wow,
there's a really good documentary on Netflix about Bitcoin. I don't know if you guys have seen it. But it kind of tracks it how it started and why it became so popular. I mean, you do understand the guy who invented Bitcoin. They still don't know who it is.
I figure it's the same guy that
I think it's
invented
a conspiracy.
No, it's supposedly one guy, Nakatoshi, I think his name is, but that's like a code name. And there's 4 or 5 guys in the world that they think, oh, this guy might be Nakatoshi or this guy, but they still don't,
well, the thing I
definitively know.
I always wonder about it because it doesn't make any sense to me. The way Bitcoin, I understand why Bitcoin was invented. I understand why people would want to use it because of just the advantages over regular, there's no exchange current, rates.
Well,
or
that's not
anything.
the reason. That's not the. I mean,
But
so
it's also
it started out as basically an illegal currency. In the Silk Road, the dark web, where you could buy weapons and cocaine and whatever.
wait. You could buy weapons and cocaine on the dark
Okay,
web.
how do you get to the dark web? Is it
Are
like
you
an extra
saying
W?
I don't think.
www.
Well, the Silk Road doesn't exist anymore. It got raided and
Like the
it
actual
shut-
physical Silk Road.
No, not the Silk Road back in the 1400s or whatever, but the Silk Road website where this is 10 years ago. Where,
Oh, okay. So I know you're talking. I know that. I just didn't know it was actually. Is it a physical place too? You think it was?
No.
Or just-
But the operations got raided and it got shut down.
or so we know.
That's what we think.
Okay, see, yesterday Dick learned about the chicken ranch and how Marvin's in there.
I already knew about the chicken ranch. I just didn't know it was in LaGrange.
Yeah, and Marvin's in there was the one that did it.
I know that.
You knew that?
Yeah.
Okay.
But ultimately, so digit currencies like Bitcoin got started because it was faceless, right? So you could process transactions person to person, not go through a financial institution. Thus, you could buy whatever you want and never be tracked, right? So that's how the initial, huge popularity got started. But then recently, this recent surge is because three big reasons. One is you can't track it. Two is it cannot be frozen or shut down, and it's not taxed. So the big money in or it's speculated, the big money in these digital currencies is a lot of despots and leaders around the world that are hiding massive amounts of siphoned off money.
So like North Korea.
Or Putin, right? The
Yeah.
estimated Putin's fortune is probably in things like Bitcoin because it's not tracked, it's not taxed, can't be frozen, which is a big one for people like that,
Yeah.
right?
If you get caught, you can still do stuff.
Right, and you can access it anywhere in the world.
Wow.
Now, can you explain to me mining for Bitcoin?
So mining for Bitcoin is not physically mining. I know Dick thinks that it is, but
Well, I know what it is. I
Did you-
know what it is, but
did you-
I'm trying to
you
understand.
went to Lowe's and got a shovel and started digging your backyard.
Well, no,
for Bitcoin?
it's the only reason I know is because I couldn't buy a graphics processor one time because a dude right in front of me at a Micro Center bought like 7 of them.
Yeah,
and they only get like a shipment of 7. Like
basically,
the
what
high-end
mining
ones.
is when if say you Dick are going to send Skippy 1 Bitcoin, right, which today is 14 grand. So what happens is it becomes part of what's called the chain, which has to be verified. And the act of verifying that transaction, that person gets to charge a microscopic fee for verifying the transaction and processing it. And that collecting that fee is the mining. So the mining is the processing. So
there is a fee still.
So it's not.
It's very small,
but it's still a fee.
Yeah, but it's not taxed, and it's not. No one can tell it was you giving money to him. And if you were ever in trouble, the government could never freeze your assets.
Because I feel like I can't believe that because it's on a computer, everything can be tracked.
So the reason why all these people are doing these processing cards is you can actually build mining computers now.
Yeah.
And it takes a massive amount of processing power and energy. So to make it economical for your electrical bill, you have to have enough processing power and enough computers going to make this worthwhile. Right.
Yeah.
If you set up one computer with 9 processors, and after you took out the energy bill and everything else, you're probably making $50 a month, right? But if you put up 100 of those computers, right, now you're making real money.
And is the Bitcoin is
How
18
can
or
it not-
14,000?
How
Is
can
that
it not
like
be
the
tracked?
Because
It's a computer.
Because it's person to person, and the code, your ID code gets changed every time you make a transaction. So they literally
There's a paper trail still.
Nope, there's no paper, and there's no and the electronic trail is encrypted and changed constantly. And it's not held in one place. It's held in literally thousands upon thousands of computers as pieces of the chain.
I feel like this is all made up.
I think this is a lot.
When you watch the documentaries, it does sound made up. It does. I'm not lying about that, but it is. And I understand a very surface view of it, but
So on a legal standpoint, I'm really glad you're here answering these questions because I understood very little because I've known about Bitcoin for about 15 years. My brother had some, and this is way back and that's just him doing like chatting online and stuff.
Yeah.
But the thing I never really understood is like where it's not like your Bank of America ID on bankofamerica.com. Like it's not bitcoin.com. Let me log in and get my Bitcoin.
Nope.
And it's
you
literally
got to go through a marketplace.
Yeah, it's literally like a file,
Mhm.
right? and then it has to be verified, like you said.
Yeah, and then you have like a digital wallet that keeps your bitcoins. Yeah.
So where is this digital wallet? On the computer or on the web?
Yes.
Both.
Yes.
So, but you get to be verified every time you want to make a transaction.
Yes.
Because you can't just sit here and make up Bitcoin and then say, "Oh, let me try to buy this box of candy online with Bitcoin," and they'll be like, "Nope, sorry, you got denied."
And you're right; it does sound fake, but clearly.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I
billions
understand.
And billions of
I mean,
dollars.
the thing I don't get is the infrastructure that it takes to complete a transaction. Because, like, I was reading this article about a guy who threw away his computers and apparently had, 400 Bitcoin on it, and that's a lot of money today. And he was trying to track down the trash dump, saying, "Hey, where did you dump my trash?" Because they kind of have little records on like where they dump that stuff.
I don't understand how that works. But,
you see what I'm talking about? So it's like, if I find my computer with my hard drive, I have my Bitcoin on it. So it's a physical. It's on a physical drive.
See, I don't understand it in that way because I thought you held it at a digital wallet where you could access it from anywhere.
Like some kind of cloud thing.
I don't think so.
I would not trust my hard drive to hold anything.
Well, that's what I mean. That's why I kind of laughed because I know the old way. That's how it had to be done because having a cloud didn't exist.
I think it's different now. But I'm speaking purely from surface view.
Well, yeah, I would think so too. Now, is a Bitcoin this $14,000? So any transaction I do with a Bitcoin has to be at least $14,000.
No, you can just fractions of Bitcoins.
You can fraction it. Okay.
You can't buy anything less than 14 grand. That's the penny of that currency.
Yeah, right. It's a hay penny.
But I get questions all the time. People are, I want to invest in Bitcoin. Very, very speculative. Very, very volatile.
If I'd had one Bitcoin, I would have sold. When it hit 17, I would have sold it, and that would have been it. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it's
it started jumping in 2017. Like ever since then, before it was nothing. Like there was not.
And now like you've got real competitors out there now. You've got Litecoin, you've got Ethereum, you've got I think a couple others I can't remember the names of. Right, that purportedly have better infrastructure and are more secure even than Bitcoin. So is Bitcoin just the first one and
there's the new Betamax?
Well, then there's many technologies we've seen where like it's the fast follower that actually makes out, right?
You just never mess with illegal people because they'll get mad that you're using their stuff, and then they'll do something to sabotage it because everyone else is using it. They don't want people in their world, and that's what it is. Yeah,
you're afraid Putin's going to come knocking on your door? Or that...
He just goes, "Hey, this is the way I'm doing my stuff, not you.
Find your own coin.
Find your own coin." That's going to be the theme of it. Bitcoin, find your own.
Find your own.
So there you go. We're hanging out here at Mornings with Lone Star, irlonestar.com. And, of course, Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1. We'll be right back for a short commercial break.
Conroe Coffee is a local coffee shop located in the heart of downtown Conroe at 206 North Main Street, Conroe, Texas. Between the Crichton Theater and the Owen Theater, Conroe Coffee serves breakfast, lunch, and dinner, along with tasty treats and Italy's favorite coffee. Have your favorite coffee or just have a midday snack be personally delivered to you at any location in downtown Conroe. All you have to do is call 936 Conroe C or 936-266-7632.
We'd like to thank our sponsor at Conroe Coffee for supporting Mornings with Lone Star and Lone Star Community Radio. Don't forget to check them out online at conroecoffee.com.
Clean Sweep Office Cleaning has been Montgomery County's business cleaning service since 2002. Offering professional office cleaning in areas such as restroom, stairwells, elevator, floor care, pretty much every angle of your office. One-time cleaning is available, but you will want these guys back. Offering daily, weekly, monthly scheduled cleanings, Clean Sweep Office Cleaning works around your business needs. Schedule a cleaning today online at cleansweepofficecleaning.com or call 832-689-7996. Clean Sweep Office Cleaning. Take back your time and let us make your office shine. Mornings with Lone Star is sponsored by Clean Sweep Office Cleaning.
Now, Sean, I got to ask you a question.
Go for it.
When you bought this album...
In 1978, yes.
Was this just a disco fad or was this a Star Wars fad?
Yes.
both.
It was the perfect melding because
That's what I was trying
in
to figure out.
1978, the two biggest things were disco and Star Wars.
The best of both worlds.
Yeah.
And I could totally see, like, man, check out this new LP I got.
Oh, this was number one. This is like for 1978. It was like the number 3 song of the whole year. And he did the Cantina Band single of it.
Did he get licensed?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's done the Superman. He did a disco version of the Superman, which is great, 20 minutes.
So, wait, I got to ask. So, when you went to the
right.
disco and the song came on, where there's a special set of disco Star Wars moves that went along with
That's what I'm imagining him like. Ugh.
Yeah, but not just the regular disco moves. It's got to be like some sort of like lightsaber
Yes,
disco move.
there were
Oh, man.
lightsaber-related disco moves.
That's where they should have done that.
Don't judge me. You weren't there.
That's where they should have done the Star Wars Kid music, too.
The Star Wars what music?
The Star Wars Kid. You ever seen that viral video from 10 years ago?
Oh,
yes.
the kid with the lightsaber.
With the broomstick.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
Fantastic.
remember
That was him.
Yeah, no, Miko lives in Florida and narrowly survived the storms there. I keep up with him because he rocks. Because he's disco and he's not ashamed of it. Disco's dead, but I'm still dying, my friends.
Just hold on.
Nah, it still hangs on there.
Just
believe
like
me.
the people who think Star Wars is cool.
Star Wars
just
is
keep
cool.
hanging on.
You know how cool it was? Okay, so today we are going to be talking about Star Wars. We got John Jablonski in the studio with us with Centurion Wealth Advisors. Not only is he going to be
Welcome
talking
to Morning's Lone Star.
Wealth Advisors. Yeah, sponsored
Support
by.
Conroe Coffee and Clean Sweep Office.
There we go.
Today's gonna be a fun day because Bitcoin, like I said, Bitcoin was a cool thing that I didn't really grasp. Because in my mind, it makes sense in a sense of like me to you, but like me buying Kroger groceries or whatever, that doesn't make sense. But going between you and me, I get it because it's like, hey, we're bartering. We both accept the value of the Bitcoin here, and it's a fair trade. But when you go to Kroger, they don't care. They're like, just give me.
But it's gaining legitimacy. That's the.
Now,
difference
is that
right
as a wealth advisor? Is that scary for the overall markets, or is that?
No, I mean, yes, there's billions of dollars now in Bitcoin, but it's a fraction of what's
Really
in the market
available.
in GDP, and but it's most advisors I talk to would consider it like just a passing fad, right?
Was there anything else like this before?
Well, no, not in terms of a currency.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Right, because currencies are issued by governments. This one's not.
It's the world's currency.
The people's currency.
Which is ultimately kind of the point of it. It was a lot of libertarian type, leanings, like the idea of total freedom. There's definitely some interesting parts about it, but purely from an investment standpoint, any investment that has the swings that this has,
You wouldn't touch.
Well, if you have a large account and you want to take a couple $1,000 and buy some Bitcoin, knock yourself out, right?
I feel like it'd be one of those things that before you do it, a warning would pop up and be like, "Warning, just to let you know, this is a volatile."
Well, that's where you get.
It is a
that's where
very
you get your
very
stock market
very
guy.
speculative and very very risky.
Where you get your agent, I lost the word. The guy that calls you, sell now,
The broker.
Broker, thank you, man. I lost the word. That's what he's calling you. Bitcoin's dropping like a paralyzed falcon.
But
sell,
that happens
sell.
every 5 minutes though with Bitcoin. So.
Yeah. Wait, it's going back up. Buy. So,
That really is. I can't imagine. It's kind of strange to me that all of a sudden it started getting all this talk.
out of the blue, it's. I viewed Bitcoin as like I'm playing Legend of Zelda, and I go into the tavern, and I need a new chain armor, and you give them Bitcoin. That's really how I thought it was. That because some of these games you have in-app purchases.
Okay, yeah.
So I just thought, okay, you pay $5.
It was the World of Warcraft currency.
Yeah, something like that. And then I'm hearing $18,000, and I realized this is legit. And once again, I missed an opportunity to spend 5 cents on a token and walk out with $18,000.
I could totally see some person out there who is an extreme nerd, and he just started doing Bitcoin, 20 years ago. It came out 18 years ago, 15 years ago.
Yeah, I'm not
something like that. It wasn't that long ago.
It wasn't that long ago. Yeah,
it was
but
2008.
the
I think it was
technology didn't
2008.
exist. Yeah,
but
yeah. For every rags to riches story, right? There's guys that the guy that painted the mural in the original Facebook building took Facebook stock instead of getting paid $20,000 is now $100 million.
Exactly.
Does that happen? Yes, of course it does. But for every one of those, there's 10 people that
Well, it's funny.
invested in some ridiculous thing and lost all their money, right?
Well, it's funny because of the way we were talking about how you keep it, and then you have a story like that guy trying to go to the landfill because that's how he kept it, was on a hard drive. It's like kind of like leaving your wallet around, and there's like a valuable piece of $1 in there, and it's like, oh, where'd my wallet go? I left it at Denny's, and then you can't find it now.
And a lot of it,
go ahead.
I was going to say, a lot of it I would presume is like, like Kenny Rogers said, know when to hold them, when to fold them, because you got like these people who invested in Beanie Babies in the 80s. That was you pay a fortune for them. Now you can't give them away. So the people that held on to them, it's going to go even higher.
Yeah, they're doing like Beanie Baby arbitrage, right? Like where they're trying to buy it at a garage sale and they're trying to sell them for $100 a piece, or
and it's just not working. They're worthless now. We had the Cabbage Pail Kid cards that were a fortune. I think baseball cards probably have more longevity, especially of the older.
They moved into the historical aspect,
right?
So that's where their value is. It's not in the trading value. So I learned that one because I would try to trade my baseball cards for cash, and he's like, "No, there's more value in trading than cash, unless you have like the Baby Ruth thing." If that makes sense.
The Baby Ruth.
Or the Babe Ruth, sorry.
At the candy bar.
Yeah.
The candy bar version of the cards.
There's chocolate all over this baseball card. So,
do you think they use Bitcoin in Star Wars?
What was the currency of Star Wars?
Well, in the comic book,
no, let's just stick with movies. Just stick with movies.
No, because the comic book was based on the shooting script, which is why it had the extra scenes that they shot but didn't end up in the final cut. Han, after he cuts off the guy's arm, talk about segueing back around, as he leaves, he tosses coins to the bartender.
Well, no, in Star Wars Episode 1, there was a value. There was a currency.
I think it was just credits, right?
Yeah. There's Republic credits.
Imperial credits.
No, it's Republic. I thought, no, hold on.
Well, in A New Hope, there's something about Imperial credits. I do remember that.
Because Han owes money, right?
Yeah.
Right.
50,000. And Dick's looking it up. Because we are going to be getting the Star Wars today.
Credit was the main currency used in the galaxy since the time of the Galactic Republic.
So Dick, John, and I did talk about, the protocols of spoilers. We figured enough time has passed that we're going to talk openly. However, since we're not unsympathetic to those who may not have seen it yet, Dick, we're going to use code. So instead of saying
you can say whatever you want.
No, we're just, it's going to be an easy to crack code if you really want to. So instead of saying Kylo Ren kills Luke Skywalker, we're going to say the eagle poops on the
No, you don't have to use crib. You can talk about it.
You can talk about it?
Yeah, I already know everything.
Okay, you know everything? Do you?
I think I do.
Okay.
Without seeing it. As much as
Challenge
I can
accepted,
possibly
John.
All right. The door's open.
Yeah,
there we go.
With it.
So there will be spoilers in today's episode. If you haven't seen Star Wars Last Jedi yet, hey, you can turn us off live and podcast us after you watch it, and you catch up with us. We will be podcasting and YouTubing this show. We'll also be talking wealth advisory type stuff with John. I mean, maybe that's I don't know what the primary reason
not
Star
just in the Star Wars
Wars
context.
I was thinking about this morning, John, and I was thinking about George Lucas and his. I think it was like, what did he sell Star Wars and all? Like, what did he sell Lucasfilm franchise for? Like $4 billion,
3 or 4 billion. I remember
something like that. And I was thinking to myself, okay, Star Wars Force Awakens made $1 billion. But that doesn't mean it actually made, like, I don't know if that includes, like, the cost of making it, and then...
No, it's not $1 billion profit.
Yeah, so how long do you see it taking Disney to make that money back?
I wouldn't be surprised if they've come pretty close to making it back.
Already?
Between the merchandising and the movie, it's... Yeah.
Well, I mean, because they didn't just spend $4 billion. They spent $4 billion, and then they probably spent more money building the theme parks,
But you have to understand that, and actually, side note, I used to work for Disney, so the theme parks make incredible amounts of money.
Okay.
Absolutely, and the theme parks are cash machines.
I believe it. And then like $200 to go to the theme park.
And that's getting the front gate.
And that's without doing. That's without doing anything.
Yeah,
You're
that's just getting through the front gate.
Right? Is that how much is it good? I haven't been. I think I've been.
Not everybody pays full price, especially locals. But where they make tons is just inside the park. Like the estimates that they use on pro rata person spending in the park would blow your mind.
So is it like the movie industry? Like if you go to the movie theater, you're spending the $4 you spend on candy, really it costs them 40 cents or 60 cents kind of thing.
Yeah, and history has shown that to be true. Is their estimates on what you spend at Disneyland or Disney World or wherever far exceed what you pay for the ticket. Because there's people all over the world that come to Disney World.
That's true.
As their sort of
They're
big
constantly
vacation.
busy.
And they're spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars per person on sweatshirts and T-shirts and sodas
Food,
and
yeah.
and everything.
And no booze though. They haven't touched the booze. That's what
There's
I've heard.
only one place in Disneyland that serves booze.
Yeah, so that to me.
Club, was it 32? Club 32?
At Disney World, they had the evening time after the whole parade. There's something called Magic Island, Treasure Island.
Oh yeah.
Something Island.
But the original Disneyland in Anaheim, there's only one place that serves alcohol, and you have to look it up. It's like Club 24 or Club 32, but it's in the.
Is it themed or is it just a restaurant?
No, it's it's called Club 32 because only 32 people have a pass, and it's very and it's in the New Orleans section of Disneyland, and it's a door that is completely unmarked. And you go up and you press the special button, and then it's a little private dining room above the bayou there. I've been there once, and they do serve alcohol, but it's the only place in the entire Disneyland theme park that they serve alcohol.
Dude, I gotta look. I need that. I need to grab a Bitcoin and buy a spot there.
Well, I mean, like I said, with the Star Wars franchise, and especially with what they made with The Force Awakens, which they made. I mean, they that single movie made over $1 billion, which is a huge. Only like 8 movies have done that, I think, or something like that. Not franchise.
But
one movie.
So you had that movie. You had Rogue One.
And Rogue One, I think overall made $1 billion. Like at the end of its run.
And then the merchandising.
Yeah.
Because I got
licensing.
My daughter-in-law got her a Death Star kitchen timer.
Everything. I have a Death Star ball opener behind me.
There you go.
So,
See, you're
it's
adding to
it's
Disney.
everywhere.
And every time you hear who makes the droid phone?
Android phone?
No, the droid phone. Yeah, Android. Like, who makes that?
Oh, Motorola, I think.
So Motorola actually, because George Lucas originally actually copyrighted the term droid.
Droid. That's right. I
And
remember that.
so they actually, every time they have that commercial, they have to pay
Was
Disney.
that included in the sale?
Yes. All
the assets went from Lucas to Disney.
So you're telling me
the word droid is actually a Star Wars licensed term.
So you're telling me George Lucas sold everything he's ever had that had anything to do with
Star Wars.
Why do they open the credits with Lucasfilm then? Because does Disney pay Lucasfilm to make it?
Well, Disney owns Lucasfilm, and Lucasfilm made it.
Okay, so you don't think
Lucasfilm still exists? It's just Disney owns it.
You don't think he gets any residuals at all?
I don't know the
Well,
terms.
he may have done a backdoor deal on it where, but hell, even if he said, okay, 1%.
Or maybe he's like he got an EP credit or something, or that kind of thing.
Man, I don't think it was a bad deal on his part because he got cash.
Well, now that they're all wondering is when does Disney start having the Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars crossover?
Oh yeah. Well, no, I was
Wall-E meets R2,
and they just bought or buying Fox. Right?
Fox,
Yeah.
So that's
they
X-Men.
own something like I was telling Sean the other day. It was something they own something like 40% of all top 25 films ever made or franchises ever made, and then. But realistically, if you looked at George Lucas and the deal he made with Disney, in my mind, in the creator standpoint, Disney was the only real company that could have taken it to the next step, the next level.
I think that's probably right.
And that's why I saw it being a good business deal because George Lucas, he tried with the 3 movies, and I think I can understand him saying, maybe I'm not the one to spearhead.
Well, he got
this.
put through the ringer after the second 3, right? Yeah.
And then what's funny is now it's happening now. You never screw with nerd stuff, and nerds. From what I've read, is the new movie is not very good.
See, well, it's interesting because I don't know if I've ever seen a movie that is so opposed in views.
Yeah, it's very polarizing. It's a movie. I think it's the first Star Wars movie that when you try to recount it, if you're talking to a friend and say, okay, well, it starts off with this, and then by the time you get to the end, you're hard-pressed to remember the sequence of events or why something happens or how this scene is set up. And in all the other Star Wars movies, you go, Luke meets R2, Bowen and Brew killed, meets Ben, meets Han Solo, guy gets, you can work your way through it. Even Rogue One had a very straightforward plot. This one kind of bounces back and forth
There seemed,
hard.
and in retrospect, some kind of pointless side stories.
There were a couple, some side stories or some setups in the previous movie that you're waiting for the payoff here.
I think to sum up what I've read, the biggest complaint was the continuity between the Force Awakens build-up And I'm saying like the things they asked or the things they
Yeah.
wanted to get the
Exactly.
audience
You had to
excited
build
about,
up and
then like literally none of it.
Yes and no. I mean, so let's be clear. I liked it. I
did
enjoyed it.
too.
Both of my kids loved it. It's got a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I like the first three. So
Oh yeah,
and
of course.
you
Yeah.
can-
I mean, come on.
he likes the prequels. When he says the first three, he means
I like the prequels.
1,
so.
2, and 3.
Okay. Can you turn off your mic?
Yeah. Time for the big boys to talk Star Wars.
You don't like
Hey,
the yippee? You don't like that?
Jar
song?
Jar Binks?
No, it's the little kid, little Anakin. Yippee!
Darth Vader does not say
in this
yippee.
new one, there does seem to be like 2 or 3 things that are universally like picked out by the detractors as like why they don't like it. It's
My biggest agreement is I absolutely 100% agree with Mark Hamill with what he's been saying, where he said,
he's recanted that now.
well, what he did, what he said was,
He's not going to get paid for the next one.
Right. Well, he's dead.
Well, he's
Spoiler.
Is he-
really,
well, yeah,
really,
I think
he's
so.
really dead.
well,
He's going to be a
he
Blue Man.
becomes
I mean,
yeah.
they literally brought back Yoda.
He's
So-
going to be part of the
And they
Blue
brought
Man
back the
group.
puppet too. That was even better. It wasn't CGI. It was puppet Yoda.
Well, no, see, and that's when I said, I haven't
Spoilers,
seen the movie.
people.
I haven't seen the movie, but when I read that, I was like, wait, is he in the ghost form? Because remember, at the end of Return of the Jedi, it's all 3 of them in ghost form, or in the the what do you call it,
the Force
the
Ghost.
force form.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then when they said no, he wasn't, I was like, wait a second, he's walking around not in glowing.
Yeah.
Like, what does that even?
Well, it's
What
daylight,
does that
so
even
maybe.
imply?
Yeah, and there. Well, this is a good point of talking about the glowing Yoda because there's like I said, the 2 or 3 things that the detractors typically pick out. I love it, but there were some things I didn't like, and one of the things I didn't like was, if Blue Yoda or Ghost Yoda can call down lightning, if the Ghost Jedi can actually use their force powers and affect the real world, why is this not been going on, for years, right?
Mhm.
Why hasn't Obi-Wan been, just popping in as a ghost and making things happen?
Well, I think that's what I was saying about the continuity of the Force Awakens and this one is somebody, and this is what happens with sci-fi a lot when you have new writers or new concepts. It's like, well, I really want to do this. I really have this concept. How can I make it work? And then there's not someone to check it. Like, does that really work with the other stuff we've already established? Kind of like the Metachlorians and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where it's just like a curveball. You're like, wait a second,
It's
what?
kind of shoehorned into the movie.
Yeah, and it's like
yeah.
I know we're trying to make the plot work, but now you're correcting a problem, or you're making a problem, not correcting one.
Right.
And
That one scene was one of the very few scenes in the history of the universe that, at the exact same time, provided a scientific basis for the Messiah.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, trying to use science to say this guy's an immaculate conception, that just blew me away. Like, that's messed up.
Yeah.
I mean, it
And
failed
then,
on
and then
both
the
fronts.
whole Metachlorian concept has kind of gotten thrown away.
Well, I mean, see, at least with that concept, it could have proven that why, like, Rey and people who are all of a sudden, like Luke, like, all of a sudden they're really great Jedis. All of a sudden.
I think it's because they're
And
left-handed.
that would have explained it, though, if they did it that way, because that they're naturally gifted.
So the Rey thing, again, spoiler alert, like one of the big problems people have is the idea that, she's nobody, right?
Mhm.
I loved that writing. I thought it was great. I thought it was a great left turn. And it was a great,
Well, you realize that might not be true.
might not be true, but it was also
mean,
a great
you're
scene and
listening-
very well acted by
you're-
Adam Driver, where he's like, "You're nobody, but not to me." That was really well done.
How is that? How do you not see that through the Darth Vader concept? Like the dark side's tricking her.
I don't know.
That's how I saw it.
I just love that concept. Like there's this build up, but no, it's not what you think, and all the fanboys are going crazy, but it's actually this other choice.
They wanted her to be Luke's daughter.
Well, like I said,
She had, not every good Jedi has to be a Skywalker.
Well, that's why people were upset about the Force Awakens setting up so many things, and then basically this
well,
one just
all of them.
knocks them all
Snoke.
down.
You went, who's Snoke really? Well, Snoke.
Nobody
ends up
now.
Half the man he
Well,
was.
they might go into that story later, but yeah, that was definitely a big problem people had.
Well, we're going to continue talking about this because I want to, but we got to take a break, guys. I'm sorry, we got to go. We got to listen to a couple songs.
Just play the entire track A of this. It's 15 minutes long, and there we.
No, we're not going to do that.
Okay.
We'll be back with Mornings of Lone Star, brought to you by Conroe Coffee and Clean Sweep Office Clean. Thanks for joining us this morning. We're having a great time. If you're just now joining us, we podcast and YouTube everything we do here on Mornings of Lone Star, so make sure to check out our channel on YouTube and then our podcast on iTunes and Google Play. We'll be right back after a couple songs. You're listening to Mornings with Lone Star. That R2 thing is really getting to me. We'll be right back.
Clean Sweep Office Cleaning has been Montgomery County's business cleaning service since 2002, offering professional office cleaning in areas such as restroom, stairwells, elevator, floor care, pretty much every angle of your office. One-time cleaning is available, but you will want these guys back. Offering daily, weekly, monthly scheduled cleanings, Clean Sweep Office Cleaning works around your business needs. Schedule a cleaning today online at cleansweepofficecleaning.com or call 832-689-7996. Clean Sweep Office Cleaning. Take back your time and let us make your office shine. Mornings with Lone Star is sponsored by Clean Sweep Office Cleaning.
Conroe Coffee is a local coffee shop located in the heart of downtown Conroe at 206 North Main Street, Conroe, Texas. Between the Crichton Theater and the Owen Theater, Conroe Coffee serves breakfast, lunch, and dinner, along with tasty treats and Italy's favorite coffee. Have your favorite coffee or just have a midday snack be personally delivered to you at any location in downtown Conroe. All you have to do is call 936-CONROE-C or 936-266-7632.
We'd like to thank our sponsor at Conroe Coffee for supporting Mornings with Lone Star and Lone Star Community Radio. Don't forget to check them out online at conroecoffee.com.
You're back. Mornings with Lone Star. It is 10:16 on Thursday, December 28th. Mornings with Dick and Skippy. I'm Skippy. He's Dick. And we're sponsored by Conroe Coffee and Clean Sweep Office Cleaning. We got John Jablonski in the studio with us with Centurion Wealth Advisors. Sooner or later, we're going to start talking about wealth advising stuff. But we'll also be talking about spoiler-rich Star Wars zone stuff here. So if you want to be part of that conversation, or if you know the other stuff about wealth management and wealth advisory, give us a call, 936-647-3776. Leave a message or hit us up on MWLoneStar.com. We will be podcasting and YouTubing this show, so you can, if you haven't seen Star Wars yet, Last Jedi, go watch it and then turn on the podcast and join in.
So I have to ask you something, John.
Okay.
Would you work for the Hutt family?
Would I work for the Hutt family? Well, they're a criminal organization.
Yeah, would you be their wealth advisor with their money?
Probably not.
Yeah.
They're, I'd have to launder it, which would be illegal.
Well, they do Bitcoin. They could do Bitcoin, right?
They could do. You're right. There you go. Do Imperial Bitcoin.
Man, that'd be so funny.
I don't think I have a chair in my office that fits a giant slug, but
I love how they have Imperial credits and then Republic credits. Can you imagine? Go, hey, I'd like a Coke, please. It's 50 Imperial credits. Sorry, that's Republican credits. Well, I've only got Republic credits.
Well, that's why they have Bitcoin.
But is it Imperial Bitcoin or Republic Bitcoin?
It's independent.
Independent Bitcoin.
So it's not Republic or
the IBC, Independent Bitcoin.
That's how I bet you the next Star Wars is gonna have Bitcoin in it.
Well, no,
push.
that fits in the prequels.
Big commercial push.
That fits in the prequels when the whole drama was trade embargoes.
Now, how do you think the Star Wars franchise is gonna jump the shark?
Jar Jar.
And a lot would argue that it did already, but
Yeah.
Really?
I think the Jar Jar definitely was.
Well,
No way.
jumped
The
the
Jar Jar
shark
was just a goofy
in
character.
the pod racing.
and pod racing, the second Death Star, Jar Jar.
Well, no, third Death Star. We're on our third one.
Yeah, but no, even the second one.
Yeah.
Just okay.
Well,
we blow
no,
up one, we can blow up another.
I will be honest. The second one did make sense, mainly because I imagine if you're a military guy and you're building a weapon to end all, you're building another one just in case. I feel like that kind of might have been on the drawing board.
Yeah.
Just because, like, hey, it's cheaper to build two than one because.
But
in
here's
the
the
end,
thing.
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
With Rogue One, you find out that because the whole gag was who's the idiot who designed the Death Star where you can just shoot a missile down a garbage disposal and it'll blow up the whole place. And then you find out in Rogue One, he planned that. His little trap door. If the Empire didn't actually know about that, because remember they're on the Death Star at the very last second where they're going, Grand Moff Tarkin, we've analyzed their attack and there seems to be, so they didn't know, they had no idea of knowing about this. So that means as they're building the second Death Star, it could have been blown up the exact same way.
Well, that's also one thing, and I think the original three did so well, is they didn't go into detail to leave room for error in the sense of why do we need to know, like, that conversation ever happened? If that makes sense. So it's like, because, you know, if they build the second one and they know there's an error in it, it's just because they didn't have the manpower or the smarts to rebuild it in a different way. That's the way it has to be built.
Well, they're going off the original plans.
Yeah.
And so if they're building the second one, they have no reason to know why the first one got destroyed. It got blown up somehow. And so they say, hey, we're just going to build a second Death Star. And here you have the rebels going, okay, here we go, guys.
And forgive me, I spent 9 years in the Air Force, but, strategically, how many times do you have to spend trillions of whatever credits on a giant super weapon where just build a better TIE fighter? Right? If you spent all that money on just building a better TIE fighter, they wouldn't.
Or just hyperspace into it. And
right. Like,
hyperspace into the dish.
Like
think about all the movies and how many years span that thing. The TIE fighter hasn't changed in any way.
Well,
yeah,
no, that's what I'm saying. Like, they don't. That's what's beautiful about the original four is they didn't give you reason to think like, oh, they just couldn't because that wasn't the way the life was then. Like, that's how society didn't work, or that's how the Republic didn't work. And that's what confused me about Rogue One was why was this guy so important? Because the opening scene is them basically forcing this man to make a weapon, and I'm like, come on, there's got to be someone in the universe just as smart as this guy.
Are you the guy that watched Armageddon and said, wouldn't it be easier just to train astronauts how to drill than to make drillers into astronauts?
Yeah.
Because I got to actually agree with you on that.
Well, does that make sense? Like, because I didn't really understand that.
But, I mean, from a writing standpoint,
it's like he didn't have a patent on it.
This guy has a creative spark that doesn't exist anywhere else. So
yeah, but I mean, the solution for them is to force this guy and his family to do. I mean, like, I just don't believe that. I feel like there's other people that could build something evil without the help of this one man.
Because Michelangelo's and Einstein's just are a dime a dozen.
I feel like in the universe, maybe.
But this was a long time ago.
That's true.
In a galaxy far away.
Far. Not just far away. Far away.
Okay.
So,
And wasn't in the Death Star, was it different? The second one?
No.
It wasn't a little hole. They actually flew into it.
Because it wasn't completed yet.
So it's a little different.
I just would have waited for it to be completed. And then okay, guys, let's do rock, paper, scissors. Who gets to the little...
Or just have like a light speed countdown and you eject, right? And
right?
Yeah, because if you know the Force, you can float through space.
That's right,
with no protection.
I actually bought that.
You did? I was marginal on
I'm Mary Poppins.
It did look a little Mary Poppins.
It did,
I will tell you that. I wish she just kind of glided.
She kind of stiffly sort of flies, Yeah.
If she'd been like, if you could see, I'm trying to figure out, some kind of shield around her, I would have bought it a little bit more.
I mean, I laughed with that when that scene happened in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
I haven't seen it yet, but it's on my list.
So that was a pretty funny scene.
Do they do the same thing?
Well, no, it's they're gliding down. It's I forgot the guy from The Walking Dead who's in this. He's the blue guy. In this
Michael.
Earl. He played Earl or Merle. But he's floating down with the main character.
I'm Mary Poppins.
And he's like, yeah, you're like Mary Poppins. He's like, who's Mary Poppins? And he's like,
is she cool?
Is she cool? He's like, yeah, she's cool. Or he's cool. He's like, I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. And he's like floating down.
That was a good.
It was a funny scene.
Yeah, that was very funny.
I heard people saying that on Facebook. I'm Mary Poppins. I don't think they said y'all though. I think they said something else. But now I have the context for it. So let's take it from a long time ago and far away.
Let's do this.
Okay.
So you guys grew up on the original Star Wars.
Yes.
And I grew up on the first three. I think I was 12 when 1999. Yeah.
It explains a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah. But I did grow up. But I saw the original three before I saw this one.
Okay.
Several times because my oldest brother is 44. So he went to go see Star Wars right when it came out, and he was around my age at that time. And I do remember watching the original Star Wars and just having a lot of fun because it was just a fun movie, especially The New Hope. But that had like everything you'd ever need in a movie, an adventure movie. Mm-hmm. I mean, you had the Tarzan.
Yeah, Tarzan. Beauty and the Beast.
Had all the archetypes, right?
The Dam Busters. The dogfights were right out of World War II. Royal Air Force dogfight footage.
And then when Episode 1 came out, pod racing was introduced. And I thought the pod racing scene was really cool because it was loud.
I did not.
And it was a little long. It was a little long, and it was a little weird seeing a little kid being so good at something.
It was kind of overly dramatized to me, but yeah.
Well, we were talking about this. Like, I go, what would it fix Episode 1? And the first thing we agreed on was make Anakin 14. You know,
recast Anakin because whoever played him was
well,
good.
he was too young. Like,
Jake Lloyd.
like if you're gonna have him that young, you just don't show him that much.
Right.
You just have him kind of like the side character, and like Obi-Wan and Anquan, or is it
Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon is the main characters, and then
Right.
the kid's just kind of there, and that's kind of the mystery.
The only thing that saved that movie was the Darth Maul fight at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty much. And then what's weird to me was Padme was better in the first one than the second one.
Yeah. See, here's, I guess, I think what you didn't get that we got when we saw the originals was, and maybe it just, from a standpoint of I'm dating myself, but when Star Wars came out in the 70s, not only was the story great and it was a great movie, you had never seen anything like this. This was, not only was this idea, the story great, but sci-fi up to that point was like Flash Gordon.
Flash Gordon or 2001.
Yeah, or it was just like a parody. Like this was the first time that it was done very seriously as a real story, and the effects were mind-blowing at the time. That you walked out of the first time you saw it, you walked out, and you were mind blown.
Yeah, the whole "May the Force be with you." I mean, we literally were saying that to everybody.
Could you say the same thing happened with Avatar?
No.
No. Well, because I'm trying to understand the phenomenon. Like, think about the phenomenon of Avatar, and like, and the world mixed with already movies that are just like that. And I'm like,
but you've already seen CGI. You've already seen.
Yeah, but like, how did that
2.
movie make that much money?
Yeah, I mean, it just
like,
has
that's
universal
incredible.
appeal. But like, what I'm trying to tell you is like Star Wars. Not only was the story great, but the concept and the mechanics were all completely new and never seen
Right.
before.
Now Star Wars is the movie that all other movies after it are compared to it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars, when it came out, had no movie to be compared to.
Yeah, it's like in for a youngin like you, to see Deadpool, an R-rated movie, actually be successful and make money, it was 1,000 times bigger than that. Like sci-fi up to that point was just a nerd parody thing to do.
Either really hokey or really.
Well, I
boring.
mean, I would even argue though that Star Wars: New Hope, it does stand still today. Like, it's still relevant today.
Yes, yeah.
As a good movie.
as a standalone, because they had no idea it was going to be.
It's still
successful.
still very watchable, right? Like, all right. So here's an argument in my house. So my kids have friends who have never seen Star Wars, any of them.
Okay.
Okay. So here's
That's how the terrorists win.
I know, right? Exactly. So I have taken upon myself to fix this.
Okay.
Right now, this is the argument, and there's very polarized views on this. What order do you show Star Wars to a new viewer?
3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3.
See, I said that, and then my kids say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
No, you know why? This is why. When we watched Empire Strikes Back, No, Luke, I'm Your Father, we were like, what?
I think I would say 3, 4, 5.
4, 5, 6. You mean?
4, 5, 6, and then you go if you're interested in learning more about the history of Darth Vader, you watch these, but you don't have to.
Yeah,
See,
just
that's
go
just-
to
so
7.
they're deciding you watch, and they're not even going to what you think. 1, 2, 3, Rogue One, 4, 5, 6.
That would be interesting to watch it that way, but it would be really confusing with the downgrade of.
Well, not only, it'd be really
special effects.
confusing. It would show how bad the writing was, or the continuity that you have in episode. The first trilogy lets you know Darth Vader is Luke's father, so it's established. And then 2 movies later, no, Luke, I'm your father. No, we're all going, well, yeah, because we learned about this 3 movies ago. The shock when that happened in the cinema. There have been very few times in movie history where the audience just loses it completely. One was that, no, Luke, I'm your father. Everyone's freaking out. The end of Star Trek 4, after they save the whales and they come back and there's the new Enterprise there waiting for them. I mean, that people were standing on their feet cheering. Very rarely do you get that audience interaction.
But what's interesting about when you talk about Empire Strikes Back is, similar to this latest movie, Empire Strikes Back was widely criticized in the weeks after its release.
Yeah,
and
too dark.
And too dark. Luke, I'm your father. The whole thing. It was, it wasn't the feel-good story that the first one was. But yet today, years later, is considered the best one.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I don't know if that says anything about this latest one, but I doubt this latest one is considered the best.
The middle part of a trilogy is always the darkest. It's always more setup, and I think there's a combination. I think some of the stuff that we thought was over and done with, maybe race parentage, maybe Snoke, will come back again. Why Yoda wasn't glowing blue. we do have the Jedi text now. Who's good? Who's bad? It'll all
Yeah,
be.
but I mean, a lot of things I read is a lot of people don't care anymore.
I think,
They're just not, like, it didn't make you want to watch the next one.
I guarantee you the next one's going to make $1 billion.
Yeah.
I mean, financially,
anything you want to bet, I will
it's
bet
too
that.
big. It's too big to fail, right?
All it takes is one good
the
trailer.
Empire's too big
One
to
good
fail.
trailer, and bam, everybody's back on board.
Yeah, that's what happens when you have fanatics behind you.
That's where fan comes from. It's a short version of fanatic.
So do you see this is going to be the last one of the Skywalker, saga, or do you think they're going to just try to milk it?
No, they're going to try the spin-offs, and I think the Han Solo one is going to bomb spectacularly, and they're going to regroup.
Do you think they're going to have? They had like a the insurance talk, where it's like, hey, Mark and Harrison are going to die pretty soon. We got to figure out if we're going to use them at all, and or anything like that. Because I think we would have gotten a different movie if Carrie Fisher didn't pass. Like a different new trilogy if Carrie Fisher didn't pass away.
Well, I thought it was a bold move by them that they didn't rewrite it to say, okay, so we have a dead actress and a live actor, but we're going to keep the actress's character alive and kill the male actor's character. Why don't we just swap somehow? Yeah. And that way they solve two birds with one, solve two problems at the same time. And they didn't. I thought it was very bold of them because they're going to have to. Basically, there's no one except for Chewbacca. There's no one from the original. And I'm talking episode 4. Yeah. So it could easily become like Police Academy 7, where the star is the one.
By the way, don't Wookiees like gray in any way? Like he still looks the same.
Well, if you remember the Star Wars Holiday Special,
do we know how Wookiees work?
Yeah.
What is the lifespan of a Wookiee?
What happens if he takes off the mask and it's Harrison Ford?
Oh my gosh, that'd be awesome!
It's like The Prestige.
But no, if you watch
now, have you ever seen that show Parks and Rec?
Yes.
And, I forgot the guy's name, but the short guy who did that fantastic monologue about the new Star Wars movie. Have you seen?
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Patton Oswalt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now that, sorry for a sidetrack, but now that Disney has bought all these other pieces, that actual storyline could be done because Disney owns all those pieces.
I mean, it'd be kind of funny. I feel like if they did that, though, it'd just be like they don't care what anyone thinks. Like we're just gonna do it.
We're Disney people. We're Mary
Poppins.
Poppins.
I will say the one thing that disappointed me the most about the newer movies is they didn't include Luke Skywalker as much, because that's one thing I liked about 4, 5, and 6.
Luke Skywalker had a problem with that too.
I mean, they had Harrison Ford, and he was almost the same as Han Solo. Like, I believe, oh, that's Han Solo, but he's old. Get it. Cool. And then, of course, Carrie Fisher, I don't think she's a good actress, so it's really hard to get her into that. She's not young, so you don't have the beautiful look for her anymore. But she's also not a strong actress where she can be a Meryl Streep in a role where, she has some authority. She couldn't pull off
the gold bikini anymore?
Well, I think that's what sidetracked people from focusing on her acting ability, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Dang, you got old.
Well, that's writing, in the writing of it and stuff like that. And that's one thing disappointing, because I was like, I really am interested to see what happened to Luke. That's what I was really excited for. I was like, man, Luke Skywalker, what happened at the end of Return of the Jedi is they're together, and then all of a sudden they're not together. And I was like, this doesn't make any sense. What happened in between that? And are we going to get Rogue One too?
There was a lot of shortcuts in that storyline because, Luke was always the good guy, right? Mm-hmm. Like he was the White Knight of the Jedi Order. And then you blinked your eyes, and he's considering killing his nephew. That was quite a jump.
That was one of the biggest complaints that I saw was the whole concept or character arc in 4, 5, and 6 was his faith in his father, or faith in seeing the good in somebody. Mm-hmm. And the whole episode 5 and 6 was that battle of him trying to bring him back.
Yeah.
Bring him back.
And succeeding.
And succeeding. And then that's when people were like, why would this Luke be doing this?
Yeah, and I think I understand what they're trying to do is that I'm drawing a blank. What's her name? The
Rey.
Rey is the now taking over the reins as the last Jedi, and she believes in the redemption story, not Luke.
Interesting, and he may come back as glowing blue Luke,
who can actually now do force powers in the real world because Yoda.
Yeah, he can bring lightning down and blow up the 4th Death Star.
See, I feel like if they could do it all over again, I would rather watch a movie with Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, and Princess Leia together at the beginning.
Yeah.
Like they're continuing the story of where we left off, and then
Like
maybe
the middle ground, like what happened there. Yeah.
well,
The
just,
morning
that's
after
where,
the celebration.
But I know
that.
so there's the Han Solo movie. I know there's.
But that's going to be a prequel, though. It's
Yeah,
not like this is what.
There's the Boba Fett movie. I know there's going to be there's supposed to be a Jedi Academy, script that's floating around.
And then like all these kids die.
Yeah. Well.
Do you know what I would love? And I know we got to go to break soon, but when Star Wars came out, they had no idea if it was going to be successful or not. So they had a low-budget sequel planned. Lucas wrote a script for it called Splinter of the Mind's Eye. And when Star Wars came out and it was a huge success, they novelized it instead, gave it to Alan Dean Foster to novelize. And it was just Luke and Leia, Darth Vader makes an appearance, and then basically new characters, a single planet that they're on. And it's considered canon, actually, because anything that happens to that could be fit in between Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back. And although the only difference in it is there's a bit where Luke is fantasizing about the things he's done with Leia and thinking about marrying her as a result.
Well,
So-
I think society's okay with it now since they watched Game of Thrones.
Okay, that's
I think
good.
they're okay with
well,
that.
it is a long time ago in a galaxy far,
Just
far
throwing
away.
that out there.
But I wouldn't mind that actually someday in 20 or 30 years. You were asking how would they do that? To have that be one of the movies where it would be a slide in between episode 4 and 5.
I mean, they only have, but the problem is the actors who were like once passed away.
Oh no, it'd have to be new act. But it'd be like
and
Star
see, that's when
Trek.
I was like, they had a missed opportunity with it because they could have done something like they did with Force Awakens and introduced new characters, but through the transition between 7 and 8, that's when they could have done it. Like at the end of 7, they kind of introduced Rey, and they're like, who's this Rey character and who's this Snoke character? But
It's
we
almost
still
like a
have the
next
focus on
generation.
Mark Hamill and like the Jedi and stuff. And then in 8, they go into more of the history of like, what's Luke been up to, that kind of stuff.
Kind of making it like a Star Trek Generations.
Yeah.
Trying to mix and match.
And then
That works.
then by the time you get to 9, it's like you have all new characters, and the old characters that we all loved have gotten a nice, send off either by killing Han Solo, and that'd be like the big twist at the end of like say 8, and then in 9 they're continuing without Han Solo. Because think about like Mark Hamill didn't even get to see his friend die,
Yeah.
and like to me that's kind of cheap
And then
writing.
along the progression, they just keep building ever yet bigger super weapons.
Yeah.
To the point where it's like a Death Star system, right?
It's just, I mean, it was disappointing that Mark Hamill was at the very, very end, and I was like, come on, really? Like, did they just not want to pay him? Like, why not have him, like, at least, we talked about that. When Mark Hamill thought he was going to be in the movie, and Force Awakens went in the snow, because there's snow on the Death Planet, that, and then the lightsaber was moving, and it flew towards Rey. That's where Mark Hamill thought he was coming in. And is that he would be the one that grabbed the lightsaber and fight
Interesting.
Kylo, and so that way he could witness the death and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
But no.
but JJ sucks.
JJ's directing the third one.
He sucks. Why do you think? And this is something I was talking to Sean. We'll go to break after this. We'll actually ask the question: why do you think they gave this Rain Johnson guy full control?
I had never heard of him before.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, and that was one thing. Guy was like one of the Star Wars podcasts I listened to. He's like, I just didn't really understand the thought behind it, because usually Disney has like a committee, and it's like these are we
Yeah.
got to put this movie together. This is the hive mind or whatever.
But he wrote it. And
He wrote it and directed it, and
Yeah.
like, why would you give a guy who did 2 movies that were, widely popular with the independent crowd, Looper and Brick, but then it was like, that's it.
Well, I know why. Because late at night when no one else is watching, he takes off his Mission Impossible mask, and it's Harvey Weinstein underneath.
Oh, you think so? Man, he's always behind every successful
right,
movie,
right.
even if we want him to or not. All right, you're listening to Mornings of Lone Star. I are Lone Star. We're going to take a quick music break, but come back. We're going to talk the rest and close out the Star Wars talk. Thanks for joining us. We'll be right back.
Clean Sweep Office Cleaning has been Montgomery County's business cleaning service since 2002, offering professional office cleaning in areas such as restroom, stairwells, elevator, floor care, pretty much every angle of your office. One-time cleaning is available, but you will want these guys back. Offering daily, weekly, monthly scheduled cleanings, Clean Sweep Office Cleaning works around your business needs. Schedule a cleaning today online at cleansweepofficecleaning.com or call 832-689-7996. Clean Sweep Office Cleaning. Take back your time and let us make your office shine. Mornings with Lone Star is sponsored by Clean Sweep Office Cleaning.
Conroe Coffee is a local coffee shop located in the heart of downtown Conroe at 206 North Main Street, Conroe, Texas. Between the Crichton Theater and the Owen Theater, Conroe Coffee serves breakfast, lunch, and dinner, along with tasty treats and Italy's favorite coffee. Have your favorite coffee or just have a midday snack be personally delivered to you at any location in downtown Conroe. All you have to do is call 936-CONROE-C or 936-266-7632.
We'd like to thank our sponsor at Conroe Coffee for supporting Mornings with Lone Star and Lone Star Community Radio. Don't forget to check them out online at conroecoffee.com.
We are in our final segment of this Thursday Galactic edition of Mornings with Lone Star. This is Skippy. I'm with
All
Dick,
right, let's
with
sum
John
it up.
Blonsky.
Is it worth going to the movie theater
Yes.
to see Star Wars?
Yes, see it in
okay,
3D.
see,
Absolutely.
I'm going to try to
100%.
see it.
100%.
3D too. See it in 3D because it's not obtrusive 3D. It's very organic.
Okay.
It's Leia organic.
Organic 3D.
I disagree. I hate 3D with a passion, but
How did you see it in 3D?
Did you see this one
I
in
saw
3D?
it in 3D and without 3D. I just hate the whole 3D thing.
That's how the terrorists.
This is coming from a guy who wears glasses regularly.
Partly because I have to wear the 3D glasses over my glasses, which is uncomfortable.
All right.
I just realized that.
Yeah. Dick does not wear glasses, so he does not know this.
That's
but-
why I feel like Google Glass wouldn't be successful for me because I'm not used to wearing glasses, and so if I didn't have frames, I wouldn't have the glass.
And if
It'd
you
just
did
be
wear-
like a frame, and that's what it would be.
And if you did wear glasses, you're having to fit it over your glasses, and it feels really weird. So, Google Glass was doomed to fail. But we are here in the studio with John Jablonski with Centurion Wealth Advisors, and we're actually going to talk some wealth advisor stuff.
Yeah, we got a couple minutes.
Got
Let's
a couple
do it.
minutes left. So, John, big question. You know, the tax plan, the tax law, I think, or signed into law. It's as polarizing as The Last Jedi.
Well, he's not a tax accountant.
Huh? No, but
I'm just letting you know.
Well, how would the new tax plan affect investments?
It's generally, been very positive. It's been being priced in since, probably August, this latest run. Keep in mind that the taxes you're going to file in April are still under the old plan, right? It's just, this plan doesn't affect you until next April, right? But, everyone is grousing a lot about, we cut corporate taxes and all the fat cats got, a big tax break. Ultimately, that is very, very powerful driver for the market because if you own stock in Exxon, right, they're paying less taxes, thus they have more cash on hand. They can invest more or pay a bigger dividend or generally increase the profitability of the business. That's good for investors, right? Now, if you're not invested, like
us,
then that doesn't help you, right? But in general, the market is reacting very, very positively to the tax plan. I don't think we even understand all of it yet because it's a fairly long document. It's still kind of being crunched through at this point. But the run here in the last couple of months, and it's been a very, very good market in 2018 for almost any investment you've been in. A big part of that has been the tax plan and the anticipation of the tax plan.
So you think this is going to carry over into 2018?
Generally, I listen and read a lot of economists' opinions. Generally, it's still very bullish, meaning up for 2018. Not probably as bullish as 2017 was because the S&P is up, over 20% this year, right? So next year will be good, maybe just not quite as good because all those good things have already been priced in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm actually really glad you're here because I was talking to Sean about this, and I was trying to figure out how people can base these decisions from our leaders and how to either congratulate or to be mad at people, and especially with the market, no one really truly knows how the market really works. That's why it's kind of like the game. With this kind of stuff, and you being basically you're an investor, you help people, advisor and stuff like that, when do you see watching the money being the impact? Does it take like a year to really see it? Really what I'm trying to get to is, why is the market doing so well today? What would you say, like in a summary, like why? What reasons? What decisions?
Because the economy is starting to turn. There's general positive things going on with the American economy and the world economy.
Like what? Like why is it all of a sudden positive? Not all of a sudden, but like
not all. It's not all of a sudden. Like I said, the last time I was in, is the fundamental theory behind stock prices is that it's driven by earnings, how much of that company is earning.
Okay.
Right? Well, as general economic conditions improve, you expect those earnings to go up, so you're willing to pay a higher price for that stock, right? So that is the general idea. Is the general optimism about the economy and the recovery from the financial crisis several years ago is starting to come home, right? There's still some things that have to be taken care of. I mean, in general, interest rates are going to be rising because we cut them so much in 2008 to try to get things going. I know the Fed keeps very close eyes on things like home building, unemployment things, because once you start to heat up the economy too quickly, you get inflation, right? So there's a balancing act there, and there's a lot of different opinions. But in general, the positive impetus is, we're coming out of that bad time, and there's some general positive economic effects from deregulation from the Trump administration as well as the tax plan.
Okay, so because I know this is supposed to be a fun time for you over at Centurion.
Yeah, no, it is, but what you try to focus on is the long term, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Because I imagine this kind of changes your direction. Like if you're directing the ship,
have this
you're
tax
like,
act
man,
bill not passed, you may have different strategies.
Well, yeah, I think
in
regardless,
general, yes,
you probably
but I think
would, right?
I think the bigger picture is you need to have a long-term strategy that works in good times and bad times, right? That you take an amount of risk that is appropriate for you, and frankly, you don't get too emotionally caught up in short-term swings because that's where you get hurt.
Well, I think really, and this is similar to the Bitcoin thing we talked about earlier while you're here, is like the average person can't grasp or kind of see on paper the full scale of things. Mm-hmm. And I think what really startled me was that, I don't know if we were here, but maybe between the last time you were here and now, is that thing where that report came out about Trump, and it was like CBS News, and the stock market kind of did a little shift, and I'm like, man, that like just one little report could really do that, or long term, you can never foresee those kind of things.
Yeah, there are definitely short term swings that can happen from a news story, right? But from the investor standpoint, you shouldn't be investing for money you're going to use 6 months from now.
Oh yeah,
right. You should. The stock market is for money you need, 5, 10, 20 years from now, right? And the more time you have, the more risk you're allowed to take because you can handle the volatility and the ups and downs. So a lot of times advisors tend to be almost psychologists more than they are, wealth managers, because there's a lot of the emotionality of investing that, works against you, right? When you're emotionally tied to the money, you're almost hardwired to make bad decisions, right? Because ultimately, how do people invest? They go to the corner barbecue. They hear their neighbor talking about they're in the techie stuff, all tech stocks. Their tech stock is twice as techy as your tech stock. And they're making, 30, 40, 60, 100% returns. And you go home and think, gosh, I'm missing out. I need some of that, right? So you buy. Then the market goes up and you say, I did really well. Then it starts to go down. You get scared. You get really scared. Then you hit abject terror. And then you sell when it's down because you just can't take it anymore. Then it starts to recover. I'm not ready to trust it. I don't like the administration. Okay, I'm really watching it now. Then when it's at its high, you buy. And you buy high and you sell low, and you buy high and you sell low, where ultimately the math says you need to do the opposite, right? But you will.
That's where I've been messing up.
And people will do that over and over again, buy high and sell low, because your emotions are tied to the money, which ultimately is one of the biggest roles of a financial planner, is to here's somebody who is experienced enough and is not emotionally tied to the money that can coach you through that.
Well, I feel like Disney's stock might be a good stock to get in.
It would have been like 80 years ago.
But also, Disney it's so big. Like, how much do they have to earn to actually move the needle, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, because I imagine them making their next big move is going to be the streaming platform, and that's going to cause a little bit of a needle movement, I imagine.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's more of just trying to keep up with how much money they've been making every year and making a little bit more money.
Once you get to that size to achieve the kind of growth that investors are looking for, we're talking.
Well, I meant long term. I feel like
billions
Disney might be a good long term.
So say you want a stock that is earning 7 to 10% a year.
That's not Disney, is it?
For Netflix to earn 7 to 10% a year is a whole different paradigm than Disney earning 7 to 10% per year, right? Because the economies of scale are drastically different. So can Disney sustain that kind of growth? Questionable, right? So but you have to do your research.
Yeah. I think a lot of stuff what people get into with it is that's where you come in.
Yeah.
Because you take the emotion out of it, and also the game plan.
And I have the time to research this stuff exhaustively every day.
Well, that's what you do.
Yeah.
That's what you do. I hope that's what you do.
But
it's a cool world, and that's what I was talking about, the economy and things. Is the positivity thing, and no one wants to directly connect it to a reason. It's more of the whole world is doing their own thing, and somehow more good than bad's happening, in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of interested. I'm very interested in seeing tech stock because I have a theory that Facebook and the web bubble might happen again. That's my kind of won't burst, but it's gonna.
I mean, the technical analyst would say because tech was so very, very good in 2017, incredibly good, that it's only natural for it to have a correction in 2018. I'm not sure if I believe that. And like the new term in the tech world is, have you heard the term FANG stocks?
FANG?
FANG. Yeah, just like your tooth, FANG.
Okay.
It's basically it's FANG now, but it's Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and Google. Or Google's not Google anymore. It's
Alphabet.
Alphabet. Yeah. But so those are the FANG stocks.
Okay.
And so if you ever hear that term, that's what they're talking about. Those are the drivers to the tech market, as Kramer on CNBC would put it. But
I just because to me the value in Facebook isn't longevity wise unless they buy something that's actual tangible. Because I mean that's really what Google bought basically patents and they buy tech. And then they use that tech for something else, and then it actually has a value to it in the future. But Facebook's trying to do that. But again, you're playing that game of like, oh, let's buy the newest app, but then the app can't make near as much money as what you bought it for.
Right.
And then
all the money right now, as I understand, is in the streaming. Right? That's
the cash. The cash is. I mean, my favorite story about a company is Blizzard. I don't know if you know who Blizzard is, but they made video games. And then their stock,
World of Warcraft.
Their stock, because when I bought World of War, I was at the beta, and I was like, this is when I go, I wish I had money. I'd buy stock into this because they're making me pay $15 a month, and that's really no one's really done that. They did it with like EverQuest and stuff, but not to the sense of the wide appeal of people who played Warcraft.
Recurring revenue is gold from a business plan standpoint.
Yeah, and especially if you're investing in a company, I imagine the dividend thingy or that kind of stuff. They have the cash to pay out people,
right,
or stuff like that. So. I mean, I think in the first 3 years, Warcraft, they had, I don't know, like 20 million subscribers or something like that.
And how many do they have now?
And I think now they have like 12. But
I'm surprised it's that many,
Yeah, and they came out with a new expansion pack, and apparently it's really popular. But you imagine 20 million people paying $15 a month.
Right, absolutely.
And then that's cash, too. So I was like, man, that's pretty cool.
It's in Bitcoin.
Well, I bet
it's in Bitcoin.
Well, we have a statement to say.
Right.
For John here. And Sean, you can take it away.
I will take it away.
Before we get to that, we're going to say thanks, John, for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
And you're definitely going to come back, that's for sure. Because
after Dick watches Star Wars, we can have
we'll talk
big
about
boy conversation.
Folks, before
to see which side of the fence you fall on.
Yeah, well, I'm probably going to hate it because I hate everything. But one thing I do want to say to people is thanks for tuning in. And if you just are now tuning in, this is Morning's Lone Star. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. And we podcast everything here on iTunes and Google Play, and then we also YouTube it. Tomorrow we will have a special guest. We have Tommy Taylor with the Givers Republic coming in, and they're going to talk about that event coming up. And other than that, Sean, take it away.
Awesome. Well, you have been listening to Mornings with Lone Star with Dick and Skippy. We've been talking with John Jablonski with Centurion Wealth Advisors, which is a veteran-owned business that focuses on building and preserving their clients' wealth and guiding them to achieve their financial goals. This is where your concerns get addressed and help you start to breathe easier. You can contact them downtown Conroe, Texas. Visit their website at www.centurionwa.net or call them at 936-756-1974. Now, John Jablonski offers securities and investment advisory services through Royal Alliance Associates Incorporated, a member of the FINRA, SIPC, at 414 West Phillips, Suite 103 in Conroe, Texas. Any other products, services, or entities referenced are independent of Royal Alliance Associates Incorporated. This program has been for informational purposes only and should not be considered a solicitation of or an offer to buy or sell any specific security. Please consult your financial professional about your particular situation prior to taking any action. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. No investment strategy can guarantee a profit or protect against loss. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Information provided regarding the stock market or other financial information is obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but cannot guarantee the accuracy of this information. This program may contain forward-looking statements and projections. There are no guarantees that these results will be achieved. Indexes are unmanaged and cannot be invested in directly. And finally, Han shot first.
I like that little addition to it.
Thank you.
Folks, hope you enjoyed this morning. We're looking at gloomy next 7 days. So tune in tomorrow morning. We'll try to make it. We'll try to make it brighter. There you go. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget our sponsors of Mornings with Lone Star. That's right. We have Clean Sweep Office Cleaning and Conroe Coffee. Stick around. We got more shows coming up on Lone Star Community Radio. Full lineup, irlonestar.com/show calendar, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.
Thank you for checking out this production of Lone Star Community Radio. Lone Star Community Radio is Montgomery County's community radio station. Don't forget to check out this show and many others across the Lone Star Community Radio Network, either live on Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, the Lone Star Internet Radio app, or irlonestar.com's live audio stream, and on replay on podcast, Channel 12's Our City TV in Conroe, or Channel 21 KVQT in Houston, and of course their YouTube channel. This production is copyrighted and all rights are reserved by Lone Star Community Radio. Have a question regarding this program or other Lone Star Community Radio shows? Want to sponsor or start your own show? Call the station message line at 936-647-3776 or email the station at lscrstudios@gmail.com.